Hi. Hi there. Hi, it's Luna. Oh my gosh. It is almost Halloween. It is almost Halloween. I have legitimately zero plans for Halloween. I don't even know if I'm going to dress up this year. And this will be the first year of my life that I haven't done anything for Halloween. What is going on? You can't just come up here and take over the whole video and not say Happy Halloween. Look at the, oh, thank you. Thank you. Anyway, I guess Guillermo's here now. So in lieu of it being the best season of all and me not doing anything for it, I feel like I need to celebrate. Let's hang out, and I'm gonna read some really creepy stories. I do not own the rights to these comments or stories or anything like this. I am just reading people's stories that they've posted online, so I cannot guarantee whether or not these are true, but I can guarantee that some of them are definitely going to be scary. If you guys have any comments or reactions, of course, comment them below. Would love to hear what you guys think about these stories. So I am a huge fan of paranormal. I love the idea of like spirits and ghosts, all those kinds of like otherworldly or other dimensional, like aliens. I just love the paranormal. So we're gonna get into some creepy paranormal stories written by people just like you and I. So it looks like this thread is actually called Vancouver hiking, which I don't know anything about hiking in Vancouver, but this is just the one that I found first. This comment is from CKler91. Something pretty scary happened up near U Lake a couple years ago. Went up on a Friday night one weekend in late May with 3 friends. Had our tents pitched a couple hours before nightfall. We decided to go for a short walk close by. Nothing too long because we wanted to come back early-ish and smoke a bit of weed and hang out. When we got back to our tents, all the zippers were as far open as possible. Nothing was missing though. No signs of anyone around either. We were all pointing fingers at one another, laughed it off, and got out the food. Didn't think much of it. What? I would already be in like shock at that point. As night was falling, my one friend noticed some movement about 60 to 80 yards behind my other friend and I. We all looked and saw 8 people standing on a foot-high, elevated patch of soil / rock by the tree line. They were all standing in a line looking our way. We couldn't make out faces or clothes. After like 2 minutes of no movement, they began walking into the trees and out of sight. They seemed to all recede into the brush in complete uniform. At this point it was dark. Our initial reaction was confusion and a bit of nervousness. We ended up writing it off as a group of hikers stopped to look at whatever. Didn't feel like touching the weed after that. No kidding. Nothing more occurred, never going back to that lake though. Gave me the creeps and it still does. That is so insane to me. If I saw 8 people like silhouetted, I would leave, or at least sleep in my car, like so that you can be like locked in somewhere. No way. That is super creepy. I really like that story, but I feel like that's not paranormal. It could be aliens, right? It could be aliens. It could be. This one is called Growing Up in Scotland by DoBread4036 in the thread Real Ghost Stories. This one's a little bit longer, so sit back and relax. I grew up in a large old house in rural Scotland during the 1980s. The house had a long, steep footpath from the gate to the house, up a slope too steep for a car. We used to have milk delivered between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. by the local milkman, but after a while they stopped delivering to the doorstep, choosing to drop the bottles at the bottom gate. My mom asked why, and the milkman said that his lad was scared of the gardener. We didn't have a gardener, and my mom didn't push back or question it, simply putting it down to a lazy milkman's lad or them wanting to speed through the delivery. A few months went past and my brother had a friend over to play. His friend told my mom that Sandy's grandpa is in the front garden. He's just standing there with his fork, not saying anything. My mom wondered who it was, walked around the house, saw nothing, asked what he looked like, and had a description of a man with a white beard, a tweed bonnet, worn tweed clothing, and trousers held up by tied string. That's what I'm wearing today. My mom thought it sounded like a village alcoholic and mentally diminished man who did odd jobs known as Billy. Everyone knew Billy, and my brother's friend said no, Billy doesn't have a beard, and my mom said of course he doesn't, must be someone else. Other than the beard, this was a good description of Billy. My mom thought nothing more. About 6 months later, we had swapped to a new dairy delivering to us from a town about 10 miles away because my mom was fed up with collecting milk from the gate. After a few weeks, there was a smashed milk bottle on the doorstep, and then they stopped delivering, same as before. My mom phoned up to speak with them, and they said they'd speak to the lad doing the run, an 18-year-old. He told them he was scared by the old man gardening and was sorry for smashing the bottle, but he startled him by standing over him. This time, my mom asked what he looked like, and he had the same description as my brother's friend gave, an old man with a beard, wearing a cap and old tweeds. There are, of course, lots of plausible explanations, but it is the one thing I can't explain because the milkmen wouldn't have known each other, and my brother's friend, who was about 10 years old, wouldn't know the milkman either. There were no other incidents in the 15 years we lived there after that. My dad was a local doctor and ex-military man. Being very much the scientist, even set up little trigger traps with fishing lines and tent pegs to see if there was any disturbance by someone passing through the garden. But they were never triggered. No idea if it was an actual old man who gardened or whatever. I'm not religious and I don't believe in fairies, but this is the closest that I have come to it. That is kind of disturbing. It's crazy to me that this was like in the 80s. Like this was like not that long ago. You know what I mean? Oh gosh, I'm so old. I can't even imagine like milk being delivered to my house. Like that seems so far-fetched to me. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was definitely a ghost or something. Like it had to have been, or you just have some really random weirdo creeping out everybody in your neighborhood. Maybe he was like living in the garden. I don't know. The title of this one is It Wasn't the Pipes by OUZZY 4B33. By the way, if I'm saying anybody's username weird, I'm just not sure how to pronounce anything. I was on Twitch for like 3 years of my life, and pronouncing usernames is just not for me. So sorry. This one is called It Wasn't the Pipes. For context, I was about 13 years old when it all started. I've always had vivid memories of whenever I was a child, remembering things as far back as 3 or 4 years old. I'm the same way. I have like a couple memories of whenever I was a like really young child. I had just turned 14, and it was a chilly January Thursday night when we moved in. A much bigger house than our last. We needed the room after all. Having 7 kids wasn't easy on my parents. 7. Holy cow. My little sister Neve had an imaginary friend Paul, but nobody thought anything of it, of course. My first night, as I was organizing my shoes and putting all my posters out in my room to myself, she was wandering around looking at my stuff. She then said, "Paul would like your closet. He likes you." I barely gave it any notice, as she would say stuff like that all the time, and apparently Paul had always lived in my closet for some reason. She was only 7, so I brushed it off. But just when I was dozing to sleep in my new bed, I heard something in the corner of my room, like a tapping or a creaking noise. Then my Rottweiler, sitting on the end of my bed, stood up and started growling. I ignored it as I thought it was just the pipes or something, so I flipped over in my bed. I then felt the feeling of someone sitting on the end of my bed. I thought it was one of my sisters climbing into my bed. Sometimes they did that whenever they couldn't sleep. So I ignored it until I felt that thing lie down behind me, and in the corner of my eye, I saw a dark shadow-like hand hover over my waist, and I moved over to get a better look, as I don't like when someone's touching me as I sleep. Then it feels as if in record time it gets off my bed in less than seconds as I'm turning over. I see nothing, of course, but then I heard my closet door open and shut loudly in the other side of the room, and my clothes hangers rattle. I literally have goosebumps. Like, no thank you. Paul, you better stay away from me, Paul. No thank you. Why was Paul in the bed? How did nothing else ever come from this? I need to know more details. Did other things happen with Paul? What did you do? Did you sage your closet? Like, what happened after Paul got in your bed? Oh my God. Like, that's pretty wild. Love it. This one should be interesting. It's a little bit longer. And it looks like they are prefacing it with a little bit of a statement asking for some empathy with the honesty that they are giving. This one is called My Continuous and Very Frightening Experience of Goatman's Bridge in Denton, Texas. So if you are from Denton, Texas, or that area, which I have no idea where it is, this one's for you guys. Their username is MOKNO thanks. Again, I don't know how to pronounce anything, so I'm sorry. I hope you're doing well. Hi. For reference, I am a 24-year-old female. Okay, I'm going to start out by apologizing for not adding any photos, tangible proof, or deep history lessons here. I would appreciate if you could all just not accuse me of lying or being mentally ill. This is 100% true. You must take me at my word because this is still an ongoing experience in me, and I am physically affected every day by ongoing nausea, especially when I look at photos or talk about the history of this haunted place. So this place has been established as haunted, and this person is struggling with the effects of being in this place. So please be respectful, of course. I am trying my best to avoid making matters worse. I feel grueling resistance as I am typing this, and I am fighting the nausea right at this moment. So I hope that you can understand. Whoa. Okay. Well, I hope things are going better for you. I know this was written not that long ago. Okay. Here we go. This one I feel like is going to be a bit of a doozy. Last Sunday was Father's Day. I was with my boyfriend last Sunday. Okay, so this was written 4 months ago, and this author is saying that this happened a week prior. So this is very fresh for this person. Last Sunday was Father's Day. I was with my boyfriend, my mom, and my dad, sitting at the dinner table eating, when the topic of ghost hunting came up. My boyfriend, let's call him B, and I love this type of thing. Neither of us are particularly religious. We are a couple of open-minded, curious agnostics. Me too. So the idea that spirits could exist and possibly show themselves to us excites us very much. We had heard about this Goatman's Bridge, officially called Old Alton Bridge, from a couple sources: friends, Ghost Adventures TV shows, and other articles online. We also live relatively close to the location. Please look up the history yourself. Just Google Goatman's Bridge, Denton history. I will tell you it is KKK-related gruesome violence, leading to the death of a successful African American that lived nearby. Yeah, that's heavy. Every time I read about it now, I feel like I'm going to puke. So, anyway, we decided to go. My dad had never encountered a spirit before, and this place seemed to be like a very popular spot for ghost hunting. We went out around 10 p.m., a prime time to explore the bridge and hike the trails with little interruption. The bridge at first was empty and seemed a bit spooky, but we didn't see anything out of the ordinary there. We then hiked a couple different trails nearby at 10 p.m. Just hiking? What? Oh my gosh. The first one was completely fine, no activity. The second trail, we saw a pair of glowing eyes in the distance when I shone my flashlight in that direction. We all think it was a deer though. Third trail. We came up to this very scary looking graffiti covered structure. It had words like "We all die." It had 2 pentagrams within the letters of that. There were stars across the top of it and fake blood dripping from every wow. Fake blood dripping from every other one, and it also had a number of symbols and words that none of us or Google Lens could decipher. Although we did see my nickname, Jen, written, slightly hidden, within another acronym. I forgot what it was, and I'm not going to look at the pictures right now. I'm sorry. Okay. Later, B, her boyfriend, had dug up some more online and found out the structure is actually an altar that had been used for animal sacrifices, and it is still being used in rituals by a modern group called the Dark KKK. Really, Texas? Okay. That's really scary. All in all, the most exciting part about going to the place itself was me tripping over a root and bruising both my knees. Oh no. Poor thing. The only paranormal activity that the 3 of us had witnessed was my dad expressing that he felt an unexplainable quick tap on his back, a few yards from the altar. Okay. Could be like a branch or something. You never know. So we go back to the bridge, and to our surprise, about 4 or 5 men, white, in their early 20s, were sitting on the spider-infested bridge, smoking cigarettes and remaining unusually silent. I honestly don't know why anyone would hang out there after midnight and not have flashlights or anything, but hey, maybe they're just kind of weird. Who knows? I didn't have a very good feeling about them, though. As soon as I got in the car, I felt like I was going to puke. I was not sick with any illness. I am not sick now either. At first, I believed it was and is a visceral reaction to the haunted place. Now, I know it was and is something more. When I got home, I was in immense pain, unspeakable, excruciating nausea. I went to go wash my hands in the bathroom. When I looked at my reflection, I did not recognize myself. I was looking into someone else's eyes. I met the gaze of someone violent, someone with immense hate. It was not my reflection. Rather, someone or something was using my body to see through me. Whoa. I know it sounds crazy, but it just gets crazier. I apologize on some of these upcoming details. I was not in control of my body or mind at the time. My memory of this part is almost dreamlike. B could see that something had changed in me. He told me to lie down because the nausea was making me lightheaded and very dizzy. I remember B asking me a series of questions. I don't remember most, but I do remember saying that I am not Jen. I remember how my hate-filled gaze felt resting on B's eyes. I remember my dog not coming over to me like she usually does. I remember telling B that I was unsure of whether he should stay or not because I was afraid I would hurt him physically. I felt extremely violent, to the point that I was digging my nails into my hands as hard as I could, but could feel no pain. I remember wanting to break his hand when I was holding it. I remember fixating on a wall filled with very old photos of my ancestors, and having a feeling that whatever is in me is trying to learn how to become me. I still think that this last feeling I mentioned is lingering in me even today. The next day I woke up and couldn't shake the thought that I had this new body. I tried doing things I don't normally do. I was testing my pleasures, my body, its limits. I think whatever took over my body is mostly gone. It is a possibility that I may be in fact haunting my own psyche since that night as a reaction to try to cope. But both B and I know that something took a hold of me that night, and I am paying for that every day now. Okay, maybe don't go to this bridge. Maybe don't go. Oh, wow. By the way, I took pictures with my DSLR, some with flash and some without. In almost every photo, if you zoom all the way in, you could see at least one red, strange-looking pixel lurking in different parts of the photo. I have absolutely no clue if this is camera-related issue or not, but I become more physically ill the longer I look at them. Does anyone know if this is normal for taking raw photos in a night with a Canon Rebel T3i? The red dots show up in both images with flash and without flash. I think that is normal, right? Isn't there like a laser of some sort? Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys know anything about photography, and specifically night photography, do you know if there's like a red pixel that should be showing up for a DSLR? I feel like I've experienced the same thing before. So as you know, B did more digging on Google after this whole thing, and he actually found out that women typically have a stronger paranormal experiences or reactions at Goatman's Bridge, and it could be related to this evil spirit named Steve. Of course, the spirit's name is Steve. I do not wish to say any more about that, so please feel free to look it up. If anyone has a good cure for nausea besides Pepto or weed, that would be greatly appreciated. Also, any cures for getting rid of these lingering psychological effects that resulted from that night would be nice too. Open to any discussions or questions and recommendations. Wow. Well, thank you for your story. I really do hope that you are feeling better, because that is very scary. I cannot imagine the feeling of like knowing that there is a presence within my body that is not me and maybe trying to control me. That sounds absolutely terrifying. So I hope that you're doing better. I hope that you're not feeling nearly as sick. And maybe don't go to that bridge, guys. We're going to do one more story, guys. This one is called Ghost in the Parkway by Puzzle-Headed Fudge 15. Just 5 days ago now, I was driving home from work around 9 to 10 at night. And right through this wooded parkway was my house. A creek runs down on the right side of it. It's actually a very beautiful spot. But on this night, I believe I saw a ghost darting into the woods near the creek. It presented itself like a glowy white humanoid figure, and it almost appeared to have been wearing a dress. I thought it might be an animal, but it was much too tall and very much looked like almost human. What was weird about it was that it was pitch black outside and the figure was glowing. It didn't scare me much, but it did stop the car to stare into the woods, and there was nothing. I came home, told my family about it and such. It wasn't a huge deal. As I said, it didn't scare me and it seemed pretty passive. However, my sister said she had seen the same thing in almost the exact same spot 2 years prior. Yesterday, the parkway was flooded with police, right across from the high school baseball field and near the woods right where I saw the ghost. It turns out that they had found the body of a 50-year-old woman down there through the woods close to the creek. Oh my gosh. Goosebumps. It was her skeletal remains, and her ID was right next to her. It begs the question, how long was she down there? A place where kids walk home from school all the time, that I drive past every day, and how did she end up there? They are still investigating, and as it was just discovered. I have no choice but to believe that the ghost that my sister and I had both saw was her. Super, super freaky, especially considering it's just a short walk down the road from my house. I'm talking like less than a mile. I hope that she gets her peace. Well, I feel like the ending of that story was very good. I also hope that this person finds their peace or spirit. Whoa, that's pretty crazy. Like, I definitely think that they saw a ghost. Like, that's wild. I hope that you guys had fun and enjoyed that, because I did. And now I feel like I'm kind of in the spoopy mood. Maybe I'll actually decorate my house, or I don't know, put on a costume and sit in my living room. I'm not gonna do that. Maybe. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you guys feel a little bit creeped out. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a good old thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I will be sharing more stories like this very soon. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I'll see you guys later.